We now bring in SNY Mets analyst Todd Zeile. He joins us on MSG 150 Speed Dial, presented by Fios by Verizon. Todd, thank you so much for your time. You know, all of the negativity, it seems, on a daily basis about the Mets, but the reality is they're only 5.5 games out of first place.
That is the reality right now, and I think, as you alluded to, there's a lot of negativity because of the fact that I think there was higher expectations. And I think what is going on right now is that you've seen this team show signs of really positive things in all different aspects of the game. But when the offense goes good, the starting pitching hasn't been good. When the offense and starting pitching has been good, then the bullpen lets them down. And there's been this little bit of a cycle where they haven't gotten all three elements of the game going at the same time. And so they've had some really crushing defeats over the past 7 to 10 days.
That sounds like a baseball season to me, and I think you would know better than anyone. But talking about those expectations, there was a very interesting moment as the new GM came in, and he said, "Come get us." Have you seen anything like that with all of your experience? Like, what did you make of that?
Well, I thought that Brodie Van Wagenen, when he took the job, or when the Mets decided to hire him for the job, had a lot of pressure on him. He couldn't come in and toe the company line. He couldn't just be conservative and do the same things over again like some other GMs might do that have been regurgitated throughout the league and that are coming in just to try to get the feel of a new organization. I think he was under, whether it be pressure or spotlight or, with his mandate to come in and shake things up, make some big moves, and show that there's some validity to having a guy that's been an agent his entire baseball career can move into the front office and have some success. So I think he said, "Hey, come get me. I'm making things happen." And I think at some level he had to step outside that box and make himself vulnerable to be able to really take on that role.
Todd, what's your take on how the manager, Mickey Callaway, is managing the pitching staff here in recent days? Jacob deGrom was not happy in his last start about being taken out. And last night, Noah Syndergaard taken out in a situation where the team is up. He's pitching pretty well in the seventh inning. There's only one runner on with 2 outs, and Callaway took him out of the game.
Yeah, I think in those two specific instances, I think there's a little bit of differentiation. I think deGrom was really rolling. I think deGrom felt like he was okay. He had the hip cramp that he felt like had subsided. But Ryan Chicolo, the Mets lead trainer, has to be conservative with their newly signed $137 million man, former Cy Young Award winner. He had gotten him to the point where he thought, hey, they can let him come out of the game and still be able to preserve that victory. I think Jacob really wanted to go back out there and was really annoyed about it. Now, that was one thing that I could accept Mickey's, move, because the trainer, he had to kind of defer to the trainer in that particular instance. I think last night was a different situation. I think Noah was in a position that he had earned the right to stay in there. And look, at the end of the day, Mickey wore it. He said, hey, this one's on me. I wish I had a chance to take that one back. I'd do that one differently. And he addressed the team and said, hey, in no uncertain terms, I might have cost us that ball game. And look, I've got to have respect for him to be able to address his team and kind of face that. But at the same time, I think that was just a little bit of over-analysis that went into whether or not they should keep Noah in that situation.
Well, Todd, with the blessing of the Will puns, of course, Brodie, the GM, went all in this season, and I think a lot of that is due to all the talent on that pitching staff. With your eye as a former player, and a very distinguished former player, what do you see is going on or is a little bit out of whack with both Syndergaard and deGrom?
It's a great question, and I think there's been times in the season where they've both had it on really well and times in the season where they've lost a little bit. And I think the only thing that can really, point to, it's not their stuff. Their arm feels good. Their stuff is good. The velocity's up. Syndergaard, I think, has been having trouble getting a feel for his slider. I mentioned it last night. In the pregame, you saw it during the game. Only 4 sliders thrown in the game. That used to be his wipeout strikeout pitch. He only threw 4 last night. No swings and misses on it. He's had to go to a secondary pitch of a curveball and a changeup. He threw more changeups last night than he is accustomed to throwing. Almost 25% of his pitches were changeups. So he's having to adjust to the fact that he thinks the baseball feels differently. I think there's some people that would agree with that potential assessment. And so in some way, shape, or form, he's lost that wipeout slider. Jacob deGrom, I think, has just struggled a little bit with location. And honestly, I think early in the year when he had dominated early and then got hit around for a couple of starts, I think there was some investigation done that said he was tipping pitches in some way, shape, or form. I can't get into any more than that because I don't know all the details. But I think once he got that through his system and got his confidence back that he was making good pitches that were getting crushed, I think then he's enabled himself to settle down a little bit. And now his struggles are just kind of, more human types of struggles that he's just dealing with location issues at times.
For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.